Hi everyone, I'm Danielle. I am going to talk today about traveling through higher and lower realms of the astral. I was asked in the comments section of my last upload by AJ Maharaj 1198 to talk about traveling through the higher and lower realms and my experiences, what they've been with them. Um, to even This is such a complex thing to discuss, actually. But to start, I'm going to show a couple of diagrams. Um, the first one, a diagram of the spirit world by Paul Twitches. It really reminds me of the tree of life diagram in the Kabbalah, which I'm going to show that as well, the tree of life. It correlates also with the human chakra system. Another diagram I found about the astral planes is by AHS. I'm not sure who that is, but it's starting to look like a Merkaba with, a certain number of planes in it, but not as many as I believe there are. There is a diagram by the Agnosirians. It's an astral plane divas from India. So, there's like multiple discussions about what it looks like when you're not in your physical body. I searched online for any diagrams by Robert Monroe or the Gateway Experience or a Gateway Institute to see if they had a model. And I found a conceptual model of consciousness by Contenteo, a member of Astral Pulse. And if I can, I'll put the links to some of these websites in the video description, if I can find them again. That one is kind of interesting. It kind of has the difference between, it looks like awake and asleep ways of getting out onto the astral. I found a diagram, the Supra hologram based on the Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hurtak. It has the Tree of Life combined with other diagrams. I actually found this image on Cyrus Kirkpatrick's Multiverse Institute website, and he was showing it as an example of how complex all these diagrams are and how, when we're trying to describe these levels, how difficult it really is. And then you have to factor in not just the planes, which are all going to be separated by vibration or frequencies. We also have to consider that we live in a multiverse. So, what does it all really look like? I did find Jürgen Ziwe. He wrote the book. He's the author of Multidimensional Man. I believe he wrote some other books. He drew a multidimensional model, and that one sort of shows, where the little black circles would be each, I think, a different third density type planet or versions of Earth with the different layers going in towards true reality at the center. So, as you can see, different experienced astral travelers are trying to diagram these layers and levels and planes. And then there's the multiverse and the multiple realities and parallel dimensions. It gets real hard to not only think like, oh, I'm going to go out of body and I'm going to fly up and look back and see what it looks like. I don't know if Jürgen Ziwe has done that or Robert Monroe has done that. You know what I mean? I personally have never done that. So I can't speak to that, like what it might look like if you were to sort of try to diagram it all. I've had discussions with, I'm in a Facebook group. It's the channel I did the interviews for. My sister Unordinary Made Ordinary. We have a Facebook group and it's private, but we do a Zoom chat, once a month, and people are welcome to join. I post the link in the Facebook group and, create an event. In fact, we've got one tonight. And a lot of the people that come are experienced astral travelers, and we do discuss this kind of topic. And a lot of them are also near-death experiencers as well. Plus, I see my shaman regularly and I talk with him often. I don't just see him for treatments, but I'm in a local psychic medium meetup group. And so, I've got lots of people that we throw ideas around or talk about these kind of topics. Um, so, what many people that I've talked to, in particular, Michael Shaman has said this, but also my friend Joseph Cardani, he has gotten this information as well from his guides. But what they describe is that there are 12 planes and they're all separated by these, different densities or vibrations, frequencies, and each of these 12 have 12 subplanes. So the astral is just one section kind of around Earth where a lot of people come out of body. I personally don't have tons of experience of flying between these planes, and going through, there's like this buffer section between each of these planes that I've heard described by my friends and by other, some of these models even. There's these buffer zones between the levels that are somewhat gray, I believe. But don't quote me on that. There's black void spaces, there's white spaces, there's these gray spaces. And I believe the gray ones are the ones that are between the vibrations. I have to refer to my notes on this because there is so much information. I know my friend, also Michael Lee, talks about going and flying through these levels and that going through these like kind of gray barriers between each level. People do tend to come out of body naturally, often in planes that look very much like their own bedroom or house. Those are ones that are closest to where we're actually living here in the third. But you can come out of body and adjust up and down from there. A lot of times where you come out, some people come out naturally on a lower astral. The lower astral gets confused a lot because it looks a bit like a hellscape. From my experience, people get stuck there. They believe that they may have passed away and believe that they are in hell when really they're just in the lower astral and they can leave. So it's just a matter of like knowing, learning, and experiencing. And everyone goes out of body. Like, I wouldn't say all of our dreams are out of body because I do think that some of it is emotional and mental things like that we're sort of working through while we're asleep. But there are brainwave states where we do go out of body. And oftentimes, and I'll give you this little tip, like if you want to start getting lucid, there's a lot of tricks for getting lucid, by the way, and anyone who wants to comment their experiences, to help out others in the comments, like feel free. A lot of times when people have dreams that they're in their childhood home, this is so common. That's when they figure out that they are actually dreaming. And when you realize that you're dreaming, you can fly and go anywhere you want from there. Now, people who do this, they experience a lot of the flying around, like flying up and down between levels and that kind of stuff. I personally, I travel more through portals, although I have flown around a little bit. It's just I don't remember my dreams very often. And so um, I don't have a ton of memories of doing it, but I have caught myself. If you are dreaming that you're flying, you are out of body. Just know that. Like if you start recognizing these things, they become triggers that when they happen to you while you're dreaming, you will realize that you are asleep and you're dreaming. And um, and when you realize you're dreaming, you can say, "Oh, I'm lucid. I can go wherever I want now." And you can control it. Now, I believe, and don't quote me on this either, if you can manipulate everything like the way your scenery looks, you might be just in a dream scenario. If you cannot manipulate, move a mountain and that kind of thing, then you are on, another plane. You are out of body. So that's a good indication. Some people do little checks when they're awake and asleep, like trying to push their finger through their hand. If you do that when you're awake, often throughout the day, then when you're asleep and you're dreaming and you can push your finger through your hand, you might go, "Oh, I'm lucid." There's other things you can try, reading something or telling the time. If you do these checks throughout the day, like every hour of the day or whatever, then when you're dreaming and you do that in your dream too, then you'll go, "Oh, when I'm trying to read, I'm just seeing garbled stuff." Then you will go, "Oh, okay, I'm dreaming." Now you're lucid. So there are lots of tricks that people do to figure out that they're lucid, and then you can practice adjusting your levels. Your levels usually are matching whatever vibration you are. So emotionally, you know, grieving, depression, stress, anxiety, all these emotions that don't feel like, awesome, those are usually lower vibration. And so trying to adjust, your happiness, like even if you have to fake it, I've heard that people do that where they just start laughing, even if you're faking it, it can help. It does stimulate your vagus nerve anyways in actual physical, life. Um, but thinking about things that make you happier can help you raise your vibration. There are other ways. You can imagine or visualize stairs, and you can go up or down stairs. Or any other creative way, an elevator, whatever you want. If you visualize these things, you can uh, adjust your plane you're on. How much you can adjust, I don't know. I can tell you that, well, I'll get to that in a second. So if people come out of body naturally in a vibration that matches them, then um, oftentimes that is very close to the earth plane. People who go about around on the astral, they say that that colors are brighter and more vivid, and details are sharper, and everything feels more real than our physical daily life. But I think that might be because, and I'm going to read my notes here, the human eye only perceives a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, approximately 0.0035% of reality. So that is something crazy. This range is known as the visible spectrum, spanning wavelengths from about 380 to 750 nanometers and corresponding to the colors of the rainbow. So if our physical eyes are very limited, then when we are out of body, everything's going to be so much more vivid. And of course, like, oh, I can see clearly further away. You know what I mean? Like you don't have, like, as your eyes age, or they have these limitations that you need glasses for, you don't really need them when you're out of body. So yes, the trick of changing your levels of where you come out of body or where you are when you're out of body is to match the vibration of where you want to go. I know the level that I'm on when I'm out of body, not because of how I traveled there, flying through levels and going through the gray barriers and all that stuff, because I travel through portals, so I don't see any of it. I am instantly there. So it's different than some other people have described to me. I don't do a lot of flying around, like I said. But the way that I can tell what level I'm on, not where I am, but what level I'm on, is usually by the beings that I see when I'm there. So I know the Arcturians are ninth density, okay? They can shapeshift. Things that shapeshift are generally higher vibration or less like of a physical. I'm not going to say they're not physical. I'm just saying they're more energy, and it's different than how dense the energy and physicality is on our planet. It's different. We are very dense here. So each level has, different. Fairies, I think, are just half a click up from us, but they also shapeshift. So anyway, that is my biggest trick, is to knowing where I am. So when it started, what was happening was every time I meditated and closed my eyes, I kept seeing a blue extraterrestrial, and I was seeing a blue atmosphere, and I was seeing a lot of sort of like technology that we don't have on our planet, and I didn't really know why. And like I said, I don't remember my dreams, but I had an appointment with Michael Shaman, and he told me at the appointment, oh, you keep going and visiting the Arcturian planet, whatever that one's called. uh, and you keep going every time you're going out of body, you keep going to visit this Arcturian planet. And so much so that they assigned you an Arcturian spirit guide. And that's who I kept seeing every time I closed my eyes. His name was Arthur. He was a temporary guide, comes around, I'm sure, occasionally, but not with me all the time. And Michael was at that time really impressed that I was able to shift up to the ninth, to go to that planet. And it just turns out like I've gone out, I've meditated, I've come out on a very vivid, colorful, kind of earthy place that had a lot of flowers. And it was gorgeous, just gorgeous. So I knew it probably was around our earth level, but a little higher. And then I went somewhere lower, and I didn't see through any levels. I portaled in. It was instant, and I was flying around. This time I was flying around, and I was awake. Um, I was flying around, and the sky was red and was dimmer, and there were these mountain peaks, and there were peoples, like not together but like individuals, people on these mountains, and the animals that were kind of writhing around in the shadows, they were like hunting type, I don't know, they were prowling. They weren't like a fluffy animal that we have on earth. They were more, I don't know what to even say what they were, but they were not what we would know on earth. And this head kept coming up from between the mountains. It was huge, huge. And there was these clouds, and it was this head that would come up and look and go back down. But I only saw the top of the head. I didn't see the whole body. The word Cthulhu popped in my head. Now, I don't know. I thought I must have like gone down to some lower dimension, because of the beings I was seeing, the the color of the sky. It wasn't like tons of vivid colors. It was, this red. But one of my friends, his guides told him that I was on another planet, and he said the planet where like reptilians come from. it's hard to say if I'm not flying around and I don't see how I got there from point A to point B, I went through a portal, then it's hard for me to say if I was in a lower astral or if I was on a whole other planet that happened to have a red sun and these beings that were, you know, I don't know, I can't even describe. They weren't dragons, they were, you know, anyway, hunting type, writhing around. It wasn't a comfy, cozy place, I'll say that. Okay. But that doesn't mean that it was lower vibration than where we live either. Um, I think reptilians are between third and fifth density. Um, they're not like too high, but they can be on another planet entirely, a planet that has a red sun or a dimmer sun or it's further away from the sun, like a darker planet entirely. So it is hard to sort of gauge where where you end up. And I don't know how anyone can draw a diagram of what it all looks like when there's multiverses, there's multiple planets, there's multiple planes, and then each plane has subplanes. So people who say they know all this stuff, I don't know. Maybe they are the ones that are flying, from wherever they come out. If naturally, I seem to sometimes I go straight to another planet. I go straight out into higher. I go all the way to the 12th density and all the way to the bottom. So I naturally have been able to adjust my vibration to go up and down. And it's not something that I was taught. However, I know that because I'm not clairaudient, I am trying to adjust my ears to hear up and down. And it is kind of like dialing in a radio, like you can try to picture dialing to try adjusting. I hope that any of this is helping or making any sense to. It's very hard to talk about because it's not like um, I learned from nothing. I just naturally did. So, all I can do is tell you what I'm told by my friends who maybe have more experience going through the levels, and hopefully they watch and they can comment from their experience. I know Michael Lee, he does soul retrievals. I interviewed him on Unordinary Made Ordinary about his soul retrievals, and he says he naturally comes out in a lower astral. And if you're a person that does that, you might be a great person to start learning how to do soul retrievals, because a lot of people are on the lower astral and they do tend to get stuck or not realize that they are probably not where they want to be. I can tell you this much: these planes that are around Earth, the astral is not really probably a place you want to stay forever in the afterlife. And I know that around Earth, in particular, and I can't say about if you travel out to other planets, but it's very dense here and you do need energy, and that you eventually run out of energy if you hang around. This is why, like, we don't see dinosaur ghosts walking around Earth. You know what I mean? You don't see caveman ghosts, right? So there's only so much time that somebody is going to be around on the earth planes in the afterlife before they run out of energy. And a lot of times they come around me in particular to get pushed into the light because they don't know how to get into it. I actually make a portal on my deck every night. I brighten it up and I stretch it down into the lower and slightly higher earth planes so people might see it like a beacon and be able to enter the light. And I do that almost every day. I try to remember to do it to help out people who are lost and stuck. And I ask my guides, you know, initially when I first made the portal, I would say, less than 100 beings used it, but like now it's like 1,000, thousands of beings on different levels are using. So I am doing mass soul retrievals just by doing this with a portal. And I try to open portals like when I travel around the globe to help people. Like I made one by the ocean because one night I woke up and a dolphin was in spirit in my room, and I'm like 10, 15 miles from the ocean. So, I mean, I know there's no time or space on the other side, but I wouldn't want um, a being trying to find the light to have to go real far to find it. You know what I mean? So I opened one at the ocean. But so something that interesting happened 2 weeks ago is I can tell when somebody's talking to me. In fact, somebody was just talking to me recent, just a second ago. Um, it feels like if somebody were to plug your ear and ringing at the same time. That's what it feels like to me. Somebody's talking to me, I can't hear them. I can practice trying to adjust this knob. I'm not mastering it yet. I think I've got blocks in that I put in myself that are blocking me from hearing, but I'll hear eventually because of my intention is set to do that. But somebody was talking to me at my last psychic medium meetup 2 weeks ago, and I could feel it and hear the ringing, but when I looked with my third eye, I didn't see anybody. And so I tapped Michael Shaman, sitting next to me, Michael Polson, and I said, "Who's talking to me?" And he goes, "This is the weirdest thing. It's somebody who's running out of energy. They've been around on the earth too long, and all that's left of them is a mouth. And their wish is to go in the light before they are absorbed into earth." And so he pushed them in the light for me, and so I am saying, knowing this stuff is important, and because I like people don't go into the afterlife and understand it any better than you or I understand it right now. So, so trying to understand, and that way you might be able to recognize where you are when you get there by the beings you see. If you're seeing writhing around, like hunting prey animal, they're not really animals. They're not, wasn't just a cat and a dog. It was something else entirely. I can tell you on the lower astrals do it, it does, it's not like a bright, sunny, flowery place. It does have more of that red sky, I think, and darker, a lot darker. And people that are on the earth too long, and they're down there too, they start looking, they don't continue to look like they start looking like they're decomposing kind of, or it's not nice. Anyway, I don't want to say anything scary. It's not scary. To be quite honest, like I said, we have all we have to do is learn how to manipulate our vibration. Anything that is lower vibration than us cannot push us around. So I believe firmly that raising your vibration is important, and being out and getting this experience of knowing when you're going out of body how to raise and lower. And I'll tell you also this, I'm sorry if I'm jumping around, but when I'm going to sit down to meditate and I want to go somewhere particular, connect to somebody's spirit guides, they're often higher level, higher vibrations. I'm setting that intention, okay? So I set the intention before I start meditating. This is what I want to do. I may ask my guides to help me connect. And I meditate, and I just, I start breathing slowly, deep breaths, and relaxing. And I start seeing colors and stuff. And I see a portal open and I go through it. And that is how I do it. But the intention was set before I left. And possibly even if you come out of body and you're on more of an earth plane or somewhere that's very similar to your own bedroom, and pay attention because a lot of people say that it's their bedroom, but it's slightly different. So I don't know if you're coming out in one of your other realities of different um, existences on Earth or one of your other physical bodies, you know, because we are living all these parallel lives. Um, or if you're just coming out on a plane that is very close to, you know, where you are physically. So pay attention to that. But you can come out of body and maybe set an intention to go somewhere as well, and just focus on that intention and see if that doesn't also help you travel after you realize you're out of body. But I think it's better to set the intention and set the intention before you go to bed, in case you go out of body and become lucid, or set the intention before you meditate and focus on the level that you want to go, where you want to go. I would love to hear if anyone tries any of this and what kind of luck they have with it. And you know, keep in mind your emotional state is also part of that vibration. So trying to raise your vibration, listen to positive music. You know what I mean? Listening to the different frequencies can help. Sound baths, um, just feeling gratitude. You know, there's so much. Um, but any experiences anyone else has, I'd love to hear about that. And obviously, it could help somebody else who's trying to learn how to navigate these planes. And if anyone's got ideas about the structure of the planes, I don't know how anyone would ever be able to diagram it for real, but you know, throw links so we can see. Well, maybe I don't know if YouTube will let you throw a link, but you know, throw the name of the diagram in the comments as well, so we can see if anyone else has seen what it looks like, and there's a good diagram of it somewhere. All right. I hope that is helpful to anyone. I think it's a very difficult topic to even talk about. And so I didn't make this video right away. I had to sort of think about all this and figure it out, because like I said, it's not something that I started from square one and learned how to do. It is more of something that I was more natural at, and so it's harder for me to tell you how to do. But that's what I know. All right. Thanks a lot. If you have any other questions, throw them in the comments and I'll try to address them next time. All right. Thanks. Bye.